All right, and hello everybody, and welcome. I'm glad you're here. We're having a discussion. I have been talking about the drone. I'm going to go back to the drone. I want to take it up to Alaska, and in a civilian, non-military setting, there may be something that in that area where it could actually generate income. But I wanted to talk just for a moment about the robot hand or the human mimicking robot hand. I have changed my website a little bit, and I thought you might be intrigued by that. And you can see we're looking here at this robot hand. Um, and I picked this particular. This is in Keyshot. I picked this view of it. I put a ruler back here to show what the size of it is, and I took out. These are the little hydraulic cylinders that give flexion, extension, abduction, adduction of the fingers at the level of the metacarpal phalangeal joints, and I put one of the hydraulic cylinders over there. And I know that we're supposed to put me in the video, so we're going to look at doing that. And I do like to watch the Netflix Korea movies. The people are kind and pleasant, and it's just human beings being human beings, which is fun to watch. They are tied up with this heart stuff. As a science person, I'm not sure I understand it, but I'll see what I can do with the hearts. I'm thinking we can do this. I'll put a heart on my hand, and then I'll take the heart and put it on me. And that's a heart palm, or a palm heart. And we'll see if the computer is happy with it. It seemed interested. It was looking at me while I was doing it. And again, I'll put on my computer glasses. They make everything better. I do like to mention this. I do have, hello again and welcome. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad the computer lets me materialize. I do have a YouTube channel. I invite you to subscribe. I think you'll like it. These are some issues associated with how we're going to move the robot around. I do have a website, and there's a menu, and there's two real pages: hydraulic walking, give the robot a hand, and robot business versus robot science. This is sort of a hand discussion, so I think I'm going to put this there on this page. So if you clicked here, you'd get this page. If you click here, you'll get this page. And I will put links there for the YouTube. I'm also going to mention or show you on the website that I have put there some links for these images that I'm talking about. I also have taken this hand, and we'll go back to that other version of Keyshot. We do like to see what's going on, of course, to see what Bing has for us today. Let's see what Bing is saying. Thompson's gazelle, mother and her baby. They're both looking at me like, what is that giant hand that you're trying to mess around with back there? What are you doing? But anyway, we'll talk about it some more, and we'll say to Bing, thank you, Bing, and we'll go back to reality. And the other thing I want to mention is I always want to mention any physically real object has the potential might hurt somebody. And anytime you are managing a physically real item, it is my advice that you should manage it in a manner that is legally allowed and reasonable and safe. And if you cannot manage it in that way, my advice is do not create it as a physically real item. And this, you will see, we're getting ready to look at some larger size linear actuators, and they really could hurt somebody. So that's what we're headed to next. All right. And one of the things I wanted to do was to let you see, here's my website, discussions about a piston robot. Hi. I hope you don't mind. And here are these pages that you can go to. Here's Give the Robot a Hand. Again, I put pictures of the feet. I think the feet are kind of cool. This is 6 different positions of the thumb. And this is a very large image of this that I put there so you can study this hand and understand how it works. I also put this FBX file here. And this FBX file is some of this. I can't do all of this, it's too big. But this is a zip file. FBX, when it creates an FBX, it makes an FBX file and it makes a folder. In the folder is the textures. So when you click on it at my website, you get it to your computer. And when you get it to your computer, you have to extract the zip file, and you'll get an FBX file, which is 1.5 gigabytes, and you'll get the folder. And then I did that, and I opened it up in Autodesk Fusion, and I opened it in Autodesk Maya to be sure it all works. And I'll show you that. We'll see what that looks like. So you can see that it's in Fusion. Now Fusion has all of the texture files, but it doesn't apply them. But it's there. So in Fusion, Autodesk Fusion is a very decent drawing program. Let's go take a look at it in Maya. And again, here it is in Maya. Maya has added in the textures. These are the strong ligaments that will give it the strength, and we'll get into that. But it imported into Maya. And so now which means to me that this FBX file is a file that you can bring to your own computer, and you can 3D print this. And you might go, let's go back and look at that size one. We'll get out of Maya for a second. And you might say, oh, Dr. Gray, come on. This is crazy. You can't 3D print this. But these little parts, these are bolts. These are not parts that you have to make. And it's actually, the little cardanic joints of it are 1/2 inch. So they're about the same size as your fingernail. But you could also, in your 3D drawing program, you can just scale this ×3 and make a bigger version of it. And then when you 3D print it with your plastic, you'd be working with parts that you can deal with. And we'll go look at that really large image that I created. That's, again, on my website at the Give the Robot a Hand. You can click on it and it downloads 162 megabyte PNG file. I will look at that. And the reason you can download this, and the reason I made it at this level of accuracy is so you can look at it and you can study how this works and figure out how the parts go together and how it is. Now notice, by the way, that this is not where it's supposed to be. I was just showing how you get from this hand to this hand. And in this hand, all of these have been, for example, this hydraulic cylinder here has been extended, and it also has been rotated. That's why I put these pink squares here, so I knew where it needed to go back to. And you can look around in this and satisfy yourself of how it works and the way these cardanic joints work. And these are the little iGlide polymer bushings that are acting as the bearings. And you, again, could print this at 3 times size or 4 times size to have a look at it and assemble it yourself. You don't have to put it together with these 1.4 millimeter diameter bolts. You could just, if you made it 4 times size, these would be a lot larger. And I'm just showing you that you can create this hand and you can satisfy yourself that it has the dexterity to move the way a human hand would move. All right, and I'm talking along. She has held up a little index card. On one side of it, she drew a picture of the watch, and then she flipped it over, and the back side of it says, "You are dreaming." And what it really means, I think, is I just don't have enough time to do this in one video, but I'll make another video. That's not hard. I'm gonna try to show you the human hand, because I happen to have one right here. And you know, this is flexion, extension, abduction, adduction. But what you can do with one finger is you can do simultaneously abduction, adduction, and flexion, extension at the same time. You can do that with all of your fingers. So that's important to understand. Another thing that's very hard for me to do because of it's a camera is that the thumb, you can see I'm going to try to hold my finger normal to the plane of my thumb where my fingernail is when it's up under my palm. But as I bring my hand, my thumb, out to the side, it has rotated. And what this, now in terms of your fingers, mine rotate a little bit because I have just genetically, I have loose ligaments. But most people, their fingers do not rotate, but your thumb rotates. So if you're going to make a human mimicking robot hand design, you have to have the thumb where it can rotate, which is in the design I made. And now we're going to go and look inside SketchUp. And I will mention the nose and the ear people don't like SketchUp, but they call it cartoon, but cartoon imaging is where you modify the imaging so it's very easy and clear to see what you're talking about. And to me, what is wrong with that? So we'll look in SketchUp for a second. And we're looking at this drawing in SketchUp. I took out just one finger, and this is about maybe 1/8 of an inch. That's a 1/2 inch. This is about 3 inches. Human muscles move at 15 centimeters per second, and the fingers have a strength of 8 to 10 pounds. I'll show you some research on that. To find a linear actuator that can do 15 centimeters per second, they just don't make them for some reason. I'm confused by that. But this company does. I'll show you their website. And this is the Firgageli.com, high-speed linear actuator. This is their 4-inch version, but they have other versions of it depending upon what the stroke length is. And they have a step 3D drawing file that you can download, which I downloaded and pulled it into SketchUp. Fusion will download it, and then Fusion will create it as a SketchUp file. So I'll show you that. And we'll move this out of here. And she is just laughing at me because the time is up. But there it is. And in order to bring this robot up to a size where this actuator could be used, it has to be enlarged by about 10 to 1. And here is my little mannequin. The mannequin is the same size as a human. And there is the human hand, or human sized hand, and this is how big it needs to be if you multiply it by a factor of 10. And you might just say, this is crazy, but I'm going to show you that this is not that heavy, and it could be done, and it's a way to demonstrate that this hand design will work. But that's for another video.